Welcome to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken. Shep will talk with some of the smartest thinkers in business to help make you more successful in your professional and personal life. This is Amazing Business Radio with Shep Hyken.
Hello, everybody. It's Shep Hyken here. We're back with another episode of Amazing Business Radio, and we are going to be talking with Arun Shastri, who is a principal at ZS. We'll learn more about that consultancy firm in just a few minutes. He's also written a book, the Harvard Business Review Sales Management Handbook, and he is a co-host of Reinventing Customer Experience, that podcast. And we're going to be talking about everything related to customer experience, how sales ties into that. We're going to talk about digital. We're going to talk about human. It's going to be a great episode. Before we get started, just a quick announcement. If you've got an amazing story that you want to share or a question that you have and you'd like me to answer, please reach out to me on any of the social channels. I'm everywhere. And if it is a question, use the hashtag AskShep. I'll answer the questions you send in the social channel. I may answer it here on the show or in my newsletter, the Shepherd Letter. You can subscribe to that just by going to www.hyken.com. All right, let's jump into our interview with Arun. Arun, welcome to the show.
It's amazing to be here.
I love that word, amazing. I warned you, that's like my, it's not just the name of the show, it's the name of my life. It's my middle initial. My middle initial is A, which is actually for Alan, but I think maybe I'll legally get it changed to amazing. That would be a little self-serving. Anyway, and I think my parents, if they were around, would be upset. But by the way, Alan, by definition, if you look up what different names mean, what does Arun mean?
Arun means the first rays of sunrise.
Yes, I love that. And this is going to be not only that, but also a breath of fresh air on top of it. So,
fantastic.
But Alan, the definition is handsome and cheerful. So
And
I know
that
they
you
got
are.
50% of that right.
Yeah.
With me.
Now it's up to your listeners to figure out which 50%.
Exactly. All right. So real quick, ZS has been a firm or I guess a consultancy that's been around for a while, started by a couple of really smart dudes about 40 years ago. Why don't you give us a real quick elevator version of what that's about?
Fantastic. So we are a management
Fantastic
consulting firm.
or amazing?
Amazing.
Okay, there you go.
We are a 40-plus-year-old management consulting firm started by two professors from the Kellogg School of Management, Andy Zoltness and Prabhakant Sinha, and that's where the Z and the S comes from. We have 40 offices globally, about 15,000 people, and we work with lots of Fortune 1000 companies on a broad set of areas, including but not limited to commercial, supply chain, and in some industries, research and development issues as well.
Right. In other words, you're a real smart dude.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm surrounded by very, very smart people.
All right. Well, you've co-authored a book, the Harvard Business Review Sales Management Handbook, How to Lead High-Performing Sales Teams. The fact that Harvard Business Review wanted to publish your book tells me you're a smart dude.
Oh, thank you. And, I think many thanks to my co-authors, both Prabha Sinha and Sally Lorimer. It was a project of love for us and one that we felt we worked with sales organizations for many decades, and we wanted to put all of that stuff together, especially with the advent of digital and how things might change. So we try to codify our knowledge in this book.
Right. Well, so this is interesting. Here we are in a customer service and customer experience podcast, and I've got a guy that's written a sales book. Now, everybody listening, you're thinking, wait a minute, are we going that direction? But listen to this. Arun has a podcast, the Reinventing Customer Experience podcast. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm torn. Do we talk about the Harvard Business Review Sales Management Handbook, or do we talk about CX? Guess what, Arun? We're talking about CX today. But I don't mind if you would kind of tie in, because when we were talking prior to the recording beginning, we talked a little bit about how a salesperson has a major role in the customer experience today. But to start things off, let's just get a general idea of what your take on customer experience is all about.
Yeah, and I think I'm not as prolific as you are, Shep, in terms of the number of leaders in the industry that you talk to. But I've had through my conversations a good sense of what customer experience is. And one way I define customer experience is what is the overall perception that we are creating uh, through every interaction between a customer and all aspects of our brand, before, during, and after a purchase. And so, if you think of it like that, there are many instances where the salesperson is actually involved, because that definition of customer experience says it's not just what you do, but it's in how you engage with the customer. It's not just a single moment, it's about the entire journey that the customer might go through. It's not just your brand, but your products and your services and everything else and how it works. And that it never ends. You engage as a B2B business and you're buying something. It never ends. It's after you purchase the customer service that you received and so much more. And it's not just you as a salesperson, but it's everyone else in the company that comes together to service. So if you think about that customer experience definition, as I put it, clearly it's a salesperson, but it's much more than that that comes together.
Right. And you and I are in 100% alignment on that definition. Many years ago, somebody really smart started calling customer service customer experience because it really sounded sexier. And then somebody smarter said, hold on a moment. Customer experience is not just customer service or not just customer support. To your point, Arun, it's everything from the moment somebody even starts looking for you on a Google search. How do you pop up? How easy is it to find you? You click on the website. How intuitive is it to navigate, to find a contact information, to call the salesperson that you want to talk to, or just reach out to the company, make a purchase? How frictionless is it? And of course, if you get to the end, well, the end is really just the beginning of the next time if you do this right. So it does continue. It's a journey that never stops.
That's correct. And the role of the salesperson in driving this customer experience is not to be forgotten in several industries. Of course, if you're buying something that's a purely consumer brand, perhaps you don't engage with the salesperson directly. But in many business to business environments, you will engage with the salesperson, and that person's role in enabling this customer experience is very, very critical.
Yeah. And by the way, you did earlier in one of your comments, you mentioned B2B. I think that the business to business buyer, procurement specialist, or just a customer of any kind is still a consumer. They buy, they go to Walmart, they go to the grocery store, they go on Amazon. And guess what? I don't care what business you're in, but your experience that you create is going to be compared to whatever your best experience is from any other company, brand, whether it be B2B, B2C, or anything in between, if there is something in between. So that's an important aspect to remember as well.
That's right. And Shep, you think about there are possibly four situations that a customer and a salesperson might find themselves in that's critical in driving that customer experience, by the way. Situation number one is that the customer knows what they want and knows how your solution can actually help them. Because situation number two is the customer doesn't. They don't quite know what it is that they want, and they don't know your set of solutions. And conversely, the salesperson knows what the customer wants and knows how their solutions can help, or the salesperson doesn't. So the role of the salesperson, if the customer knows, is about discovery. And that discovery process also drives customer experience. If the customer doesn't know, and the salesperson knows, then the role of the salesperson is to educate. If neither of them know, then it's about co-creation. By the way, in consulting, you often find yourself in that position. The customer also doesn't know quite what the solution is that you can provide them, and you also quite don't know what is the customer's problem. You might know at a high level, oh yeah, maybe there's a growth issue or something like that. But to really get to the nitty-gritty of what's holding back that growth, it's a question of co-creation. And that also is quite an enabler of a strong customer experience. And last but not least, look, at the end of the day, salespeople are there because they're trying to build trust between the provider and the consumer of an organization. And in many instances, they're facilitating agreement in a buyer organization. We often tend to think in a B2B environment of a single buyer, but actually it's many people. A COO might be involved, a CFO might be involved, a CTO might be involved. How do you build that sort of agreement amongst different people is also a very important part of ensuring there is a good, strong customer experience element involved.
Yeah. And again, I think that all applies. If I were to walk into my favorite retail store and a salesperson came up to me, all of the descriptions that you just had apply. Either I know what I want, I need help with what I want, you're going to discover what I want, or maybe neither one of us can figure it out, so let's sit down together. I think that's a beautiful framework for what a great experience is all about. So this is why many years ago, even in the 1980s, I came up after listening to several people, and specifically, I was listening to a gentleman named Dr. Tony Alessandra, and he also worked with a gentleman, Jim Cathcart. I believe they wrote a book called Non-Manipulative Selling. And that book actually talked about, well, I interpreted it, whether I actually read it in there or not, selling with service and creating a service level experience, which was taking customer service out of it being a department and starting to put it into the overall experience. And that's why I started thinking that service is not a department, it's a philosophy. It should be ingrained in every single person's position and job. But that framework that you just said is great. I'm going to add a word to this that kind of covers everything related to that framework, and that is partnership. At some level, that customer is looking to partner with a vendor or a salesperson, or whether B2B, B2C, I don't think it matters. And I know partnership is defined as in different ways, but this is about the collaboration between two people getting what they want. I want to sell you something, you want to buy something, and it's a good product at the right price, the value's there. And if I can make this happen, I want my customers to walk away saying, wow, they get me. So knowledgeable, so helpful, and what a great experience.
Yeah, I think I love what you're saying, Shep, because, I was talking to our internal tech buyer. So the person who buys tech services on behalf of our own organization, ZS. And I was asking her to reflect a little bit on different vendors that she's engaged with. And, this notion of this partner and this trusted advisor came up again and again. She said, if the person who takes every opportunity to sell me something else, I don't trust. The person who comes to me and is truly thinking about what my needs are as a buyer on behalf of this ZS organization, even if it means I don't buy anything from them right away, that person I trust a lot more. Yep. So are you putting my needs? Are you a trusted advisor to me? Are you a trusted partner to me? Very, very critical in a B2B environment. And of course, it's true in a B2C environment as well, too. But I love that concept.
Well, this is a perfect time to take a break, and we're going to do that. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the combination or the interactions that are similar between B2C and B2B. I want to talk about some of the executives that you have interviewed on your podcast. They're big time organizations, well-known Fortune 50 companies that we can grab some insights in. And you mentioned the future of CX. I'd love to hear what you're hearing out there as well. So we're going to come right back. In the meantime, I want you to know what we're doing here. We are talking with Arun Shastri, who is a ZS principal, but also the co-author of Reinventing Customer. Oh, I'm sorry. He is a co-host of Reinventing the Customer Experience podcast, but also the co-author of the Harvard Business Review Sales Management Handbook, How to Lead High-Performance Teams. We will be right back. Don't go away. Shep Hyken here with an offer that won't cost you a cent. You may have heard me talk about my annual customer service and experience research. We've surveyed thousands of customers matching the U.S. Census for age, gender, ethnicity, and geography. And we find out what customers love, hate, and want in a customer experience. What's the number one customer experience that almost every customer desires? What makes them come back? What makes them leave? Why won't they fill out surveys? What do they think of AI? Well, these questions and more are answered in the research, which, by the way, is sponsored this year by RingCentral, a leader in global communications. You can download the full report by going to hyken.com and clicking on the research tab at the top. Like I said, it won't cost you a cent, but it may make you or save you thousands and thousands of dollars when you understand your customers' expectations. Again, the website is www.hyken.com.
You're listening to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken.
We are back on Amazing Business Radio talking with Arun Shastri, and I just want to start off by saying there's an old saying in business that people want to do business with people they know or companies they know, they like, and they trust. And that trust word popped up in one of your answers toward the end of our first segment. And I just want to emphasize the importance of that trust because without trust, there really isn't even an opportunity for a good customer experience. It's only we hope for it. And that trust is about consistency and knowing what you're going to get and knowing you're getting the right advice. And by the way, if you say, I trust I'll get a bad experience, that's not what we're trying to achieve. It's the other way around. All right. So let's jump back into this. We're getting into, we started talking about B2C versus B2B. And during the break, you had a really great insight about how really the digital experience and technology is changing so much and what our perceptions are. So let's start there.
All right, Shep. I think we want our experiences in B2C are amazing in the items we buy and how we consume our music, how we might consume our videos. And we, of course, want those same experiences with the same seamless transition across channels to happen in B2B buying environments as well. And of course, we can't quite do that unless you use digital as an ally. But one thing that people often question is, hey, digital comes in as a channel. Do you actually need as many salespeople? Maybe you need less, or maybe you don't need salespeople at all because you can consume all. And the answer to that actually lies in the fact that if you only think of digital as a channel, perhaps you can replace humans. But the more complicated the products are, the more the need for humans, again, to go back to what you just started this segment with, trust, because co-creation can't happen in digitally. Building trust and facilitating agreement is very much a human attribute. And we work hard in enabling that somebody is successful in their role because they're going to buy from you and they're going to implement to enable their organization to do a better job. So we see the prominence of humans in driving this not going away anytime soon, Shep.
Yeah, and as it applies to the customer support world, which I do a lot of work in, we want people to go digital. We want them to go online and try to find answers to the easier resolved issues. And if they want to know, was their package shipped? Did you receive my payment? Any type of information they want that's basic about the product, they ought to be able to go on and use a frequently asked website. It might be infused with chat GPT type technology, so I can talk to you like it's a conversation as opposed to looking up and reading and all that. Or there might be a video tutorial that I am led to, but there should always be a human being there to be able to help for the harder issues. Or maybe I'm not comfortable going digital. There's a big percentage of customers that are out there. I must say they're primarily the baby boomers that choose to absolutely want to go to the phone first before any other area. And, we just put up with it. And for now, we'd love to show them how they can get their answers out. I just wrote an article and I start with this question. If you could get your answer to something right away, or if you had to wait 10 minutes, which would you prefer?
Right away.
Yeah, right away. And sometimes right away means you got to do it yourself. It's not hard to do. But by the way, anything you're doing yourself prior to asking the question is the same thing that's going to happen when you get me on the telephone as a salesperson or a customer support person, because I'm going to ask you who you are, where you're from. I need to either get the information or I need to authenticate you as a customer. So I'm still going to get basic information. And anyway, so I'm digressing, but I'm in complete alignment with you.
As you were talking, one thought that occurred to me is that oftentimes when you think about